Welcome everybody to our weekly construction and builder series. I'm Danielle Palloschi-Browne, an investor and agent, and this is my partner Raj with Green Valley Custom Home Builders, and we are here to talk to you this week to finally finish up our construction estimate series. We're going to be talking about demolition, site preparation, and all of the other less sexy but definitely necessary costs, sometimes very big costs that come with creating a brand new home from scratch, or if you are rebuilding an existing property or rehabbing it, things that you should keep in mind as you go through that process. So, Raj, first things first, if you're going to build a new home on a site that already has an existing structure, you're going to have to demo that structure. So I didn't realize this until we talked several months ago about this, but how much demolition and demo permits and the process of that could actually cost. So why don't we start there? We have to start with a clean slate, right? So what does demolition and site preparation typically, what are some of the costs associated with that?
I just realized, Danielle, I have a spreadsheet. So if you don't mind, can I share a screen? So I have a spreadsheet, then I can show. And this is, of course, this does not apply all project, but okay, share a screen. I can share the screen. Do you see it?
I do. Okay, here we go.
There you go.
Awesome.
So this is the cost breakdown, but again, this is mostly for the tear down, means it's the existing house is already there, and lots are not big, right? Usually quarter acre lot. I'm giving example of these houses in McLean, Fairfax, Vienna, Falls, where lots are, lot size is half acre, quarter acre to a half acre lot. Standard homes, right? 2-car, 3-car garage, 7,000 to 8,000 square foot homes, including basements. So this is what we have prepared for my project, right?
Awesome.
And so when we build a house for homeowners, I said this cost is not included because we really don't know how much it will be, right? So usually this engineering cost and site development cost and all this is not included. So typically building permit and construction plans is about $9,500. This is assuming that you may already have a floor plan and you need an architectural engineering company to prepare a permit plan, complete set of plan that you can submit to the county for permit. So depends. It could be like 10,000, 20, 50,000. It depends how detailed you want. But I'm talking about this is like some floor plan you find it. Let's say you found some floor plan in the internet from another builder. You say, I really like this floor plan. Can you just modify it? Not much. And make this on a permit plan, which is architectural plan, structural calculation, wall bracing, all that. Can you prepare it? That's how much it costs usually. 9 to 10, 12,000. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
And this one, second item is a grading plan. For any new construction, you have to have a grading plan, civil engineering. So that's you have to add. So usually, it's 65 to 75 or even 95. It depends, because if your house or new construction requires some significant stormwater management system, like infiltration trench or planter box or rain garden, it depends how extensive it is, bioretention tanks. It could be more because it's more calculation involved for the civil engineer, so he's going to charge you more, right? So it could be standard, let's say, McLean Homes, quarter acre lot, R3 zoning. This is example about 7,500 is ongoing price.
Okay.
So now,
so typical, kind of average typical site prep.
Site prep for a spec home or new construction home, not that crazy custom home, but let's say standard custom home, because custom, when you say custom, it could be crazy. Everything is custom and expensive, right? So
Yeah.
we're
Oh,
talking
always.
about, yeah, it is. So now, then I have a third item is a geotechnical report. It depends because, like we talked about this one before. If the soil is bad, then you have to have
Yeah.
geotechnical engineer involved. You need to come to the site, do the sample test, and find out what kind of soil it is. Soil bearing capacity. And also not just that. If you have a, if we have stormwater management system, we talked about that before, right?
Yeah.
When you have
Yep.
that, the soil needs to be tested, whatever those infiltration trench or stormwater management system or structure will go. Those areas, the geotechnical engineer or soil engineer need to do the test, make sure that what type of soil you're dealing with. If it's a
Yep.
clay, for example, you can contain the water, but then it's not really going into the ground because they are very dense, right? If it is a silty clay or maybe sand, that means when you put the water quickly dissipates into the ground, that's what you prefer, you
Yep.
like. But you wouldn't know until you had an engineer, geotechnical engineer, do all those tests.
Yep.
So, two things: if soil is really bad and the civil engineer say you need it anyway. But if you require a stormwater management system, you still need it. So usually $2,500 to $3,500 is what usually I pay.
Okay.
Okay.
And you're just building these costs into the expectations of, in particular, your client. But these are going to be typical costs in the Northern Virginia area if you're going to build a new construction home in, say, Fairfax County, probably also Arlington County, I would assume, or something close, maybe a little more in Arlington. But overall, like these are things you should expect to be doing. And if you really want to do the project correctly, this would be included in that. For sure.
Yes, and this is I specifically I said this one is Fairfax County because Arlington County is a little more expensive. So
Yeah.
probably your civil engineering instead of 75, maybe like I don't know 12,000, because they have a more stringent requirements for stormwater management. So again, in the ballpark, 10-20% up and down, but this is what you can expect when you do a house like that. And another one is infiltration study is this is something you may not have to do it or you have to do it, depends. Fairfax County, if over 18% impervious area, which is also part of this infiltration trains, you have to do a study, which is also part of the, it's not separate study, which a geotechnical engineer does. If you had a geotechnical engineer just for that, maybe he will charge less than $2,000. But if you have to do the whole report, it's about $35. So you don't have to pay both, either or.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it. Okay, so that $3,500 is inclusive of that infiltration study if you choose to do it.
Correct. If we have to do it, if the civil engineer says you have to do it, then you have to do it because, yeah, that's one of the requirements. Now, the arborist report is you may have to do it or you don't have to do it. That's also a requirement. Now, Fairfax County, they require it anyway. So usually the civil engineer I work with, they are also arborists. If they are not the arborist, they have to hire it and they have to certify it. And now when you do construction, pre-construction meeting, now when you say construction, pre-construction meeting is the meeting before you start demo or new, even you start silt fence, erosion control. There you have to have usually a homeowner, general contractor, inspector, Fairfax County inspector, concrete contractors, and also arborist from the Fairfax County. She needs to be there too.
Got it.
Now she's so busy, but
it's
usually what we do, yeah, you have to be all those people and see. The reason I see is because he is, but she could be he, right? If arborist, but because I know her for many years, and she in Fairfax County, she is the only one looks like it. See, it's all over. So I digress. But again, so you have to have an arborist also in the meeting. Sometimes what they do is nowadays they are busy, so we have a meeting, except the arborist, and the arborist needs to stop by the site, make sure that all the trees, everything is noted on the plan, which is grading plan, is correct. Because there's some of the trees may be bad, and some of the trees that can be kept or saved. The intent is try to save these trees. But if we know this tree is dying, it's already, like dead halfway, there is no reason to keep it. But you still need approval from the arborist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That's the part of the requirement of this, permit. So that's additional cost. If you want to do permit runner fee, means in our office we pull all the permit ourselves, but sometimes you may want to hire a permit expediter runner to do that. And I can tell you it's very worth it. It's worth it because sometimes they know the connections, they know what to do, they know what kind of documents to submit, and it's like $1,500, $2,000 in Fairfax County, Arlington County. It's worth it. I have one project in Arlington now, and I'm hiring a permit expediter for the building permit, and she's charging $1,500 for me. I think it's worth it. Well worth it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even beyond the speed of it and them knowing everybody, they also can triple check what you're going to submit. So like when we say it really shortens the time frame, you don't know what you don't know. And when you're looking at an entire series of permits and plans, it is so easy to miss little details when you're staring at something for a while preparing it. So the expediter, they also go through and make sure what you're submitting is as accurate as it possibly can. So when the response you're getting back from whichever county you're working with is likely going to be yes, and not likely have a lot of additional requests for additional documentation. So you're saving yourself a lot of back and forth, a lot of time, which even one mortgage payment on land in any of those counties is likely going to be more than $2,000 for the month. So you're really saving yourself a ton of money long term. So it's important to kind of notice that cost really creates a lot of snowballed savings over time.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So these are the things you have to keep in mind. So I say, some in Fairfax County, for example, I know it. I've been doing it for many years, so I don't do it because I know the process. But for you, if you are not familiar with the process, so I would definitely hire a permit expediter. That would save a lot of time and headache down the road for you. Okay, so now this is the deal. The next item is sewer water cap off and permit fees. This one is if you have an existing house and you demo existing house. So when you demo existing house, you need a demolition permit, which is, we talk about that. And now let's assuming the house has already public water and sewer connected. So that needs to be disconnected before you demo the house. Of course, before you start building a new house. That's called the sewer water cap off, which your plumber. So usually there are two types of plumber working outside and plumber working inside the house. And some of the company, they do both work inside and outside. Our company, one company, they do both, but one company, they only do outside. But I like that because they're very good at what they do, and they pull a permit. They know what to do. They do all the inspection correctly on the time and day they're supposed to. So, but one of the requirements before you apply for demo permit, you can apply for demo permit, but they will not give you a demo permit until your sewer cap off is done. Means they have to pull a permit, and also cap off is inspected and approved and closed.
Got it.
So that's only for the existing house where you have a water, public water and sewer connected.
Sure. Do you have to do that for gas as well?
I'm sorry?
Does that also have to be done for gas lines as well?
Yeah, so you do. So that's another one. I don't have it here, but existing utilities, which is gas, water, they needs to be disconnected. Yes. Usually it doesn't cost that. Well. The reason I didn't add it here because when you have to disconnect the gas, you just have to tell them I want to disconnect. You have to fill up the form, and they will just do it. There is no additional cost to it usually. But Dominion Power or other power companies in Northern Virginia is the same. You just have to notify. They will come in, take the meter out. The main thing is they want to take the gas and electric both. They have to take the existing meter out.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And do the proper cap off. Yes. So so those are the part of the process you have to do. And now I have another item called descaling camera video submission to the county. This is required because you have to remember this house, old house, I don't know, maybe they were built in 40s, 50s, 60s. All those sewer line got lateral connected to the main line. Some of them are already damaged, right?
Yeah.
And so those need to be replaced or you may have to repair. So only way to find out is you have to do a camera. So, they have this little camera with a snake. They'll just go through it and they prepare the video and find out if the part of that section from the house to the main road or main sewer line, they find out if it's still good or needs to be repaired or replaced. So nowadays that video needs to be submitted to the county, Fairfax County.
Yeah, which makes a ton of sense because honestly, if you're already building everything else from scratch, why not make sure that your main sewer line and water lines are all working perfectly into your new house? Like the last thing you'd want to do is have to replace those after the fact.
Yeah, that would be not easy and painful. Would be painful because now the house is ready. All of a sudden, you have a broken pipe. That's not good. Yeah. So I think this is very good practice. Do the video, and at least your sewer lateral is okay or not. You don't have to replace all the time in the county. In Fairfax County, where I have done all the job, less than 50%, less than 25 to 30% of the pipes we had to replace, but the rest are okay. They are mostly cast in iron pipes. They could be rusted, things like that. But you don't have to replace all of it because replacing it's not cheap. It's not a couple of $1,000s. It could be $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 depending on how long of that section you have to replace. When you replace, you have to dig down all the way 8, 9, 10 foot below ground.
Yeah.
So that could be
it's a deal. It's a big ordeal.
Yes, and this is something you have to keep in mind. We say VDOT permit fee, or permit processing, a permit fee. So we talked about this before, especially in Fairfax County, and VDOT, which is Virginia Department of Transportation. Anything you do related to the road, you have to get a permit. So if you have a new driveway, you have to get a permit from the VDOT. Or you are trying to make existing driveway wider, you still need it. If you try to relocate, still you need it. So that's a part of the process. You have to hire someone to do it. In our office, we do it ourselves. There's some of the civil engineers that can help you out. It could be a couple of $1,000s to process permit for VDOT because that's in addition to grading plans that you would be submitting to the county, which is called a land disturbance permit.
Yeah.
Land disturbance permit. Then you have a VDOT permit. Again, if you are using an existing driveway, good. You don't have to do it. But if you don't, you have to because now you have a brand new house. You have this existing driveway, narrow, not nice. Maybe you want to just better to replace. That's the permit, but now cost of replacement of this existing driveway and the apron, that's the additional cost. That could be anywhere, $3,000 to $5,000 to replace those existing apron. Right. Then
okay. So
then we have. Sorry, go ahead.
What is it?
Go ahead,
septic. So after
septic
that,
and well, so that's definitely additional cost because it depends. If you have a well and septic, then you have to go to a different department, additional requirement, which is health department. So you have to get a permit approval from health department in addition to the county. So that could be, I don't know, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, depends how big, locations, all that. But cost could be well and septic could be anywhere, I don't know, 30, 40,000 to 100 grand, depending on how deep you have to go on the well, because well is they usually charge you, per foot, how deep you have to drive the pin to get the water. So, but usually in Fairfax County, Northern Virginia, septic, it could be $35,000 to $50,000 standard septic cost, I would say. But well, it varies, right? But now the last item here is on this item, pre-construction item, is a bond. So bond is a part of this requirement when you get a land disturbance permit from the county. So those are the bond for stormwater management structures. When you have to build it,
Mm.
that's additional. So when you get no, land disturbance permit, which is a grading plan, maybe you have to put a couple of $1,000 bond. So bond is you have to write a check, and they will keep it, and they'll give you back after house is done, after you have received your occupancy permit.
So it's really
Right?
it has to do with ensuring
You
the
do it properly, because you may
yeah.
not get that money back if you don't follow. This was usually, I had a couple of situations where my project manager was not that responsible, I guess. So the Fairfax County inspector gave him apparently a couple of warranty, not warranty, what, warnings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, these are the items you're fixed. He didn't fix it. I don't know what happened. Maybe then the county had to come 2 or 3 times to check, make sure it's done. Every time now they come back for additional inspection, they charge you. So,
Of
of
course,
that
yeah.
deposit, of that deposit, they will deduct it. So sometimes this could be 35 to $10,000 deposit you may have to put. But the problem is, this money, you won't be able to use it, because Fairfax County will take this money out. They will give you back when the house is done. But again, you
Yeah.
won't be able to use it now, right, for the construction. So you may have to have a budget for that too.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Okay. So that's just more of a deposit that the county has to hold until your C of O really is issued.
Yeah, so that applies to VDOT too. VDOT also, usually you have to do $10, $20, $30,000 deposit.
Ooh.
But there's some company, those called bond you have to provide. The good thing about VDOT, you can do it here county too, but VDOT is that there's some company, they provide this bond.
Mm.
So
Okay.
if it's $20,000, usually my people, they charge me $200 and they provide the pin. So you don't bond, so you really don't have to pay $20,000 deposit, but you get a bond from the company, and they will charge you and a couple $100, and that bond will suffice bond requirements for VDOT. So you don't have to, but again, that's a lot cheaper.
Okay, I didn't realize the VDOT bond would be so much, but that
20,
no.
10 is minimum, but usually $20,000 is a bond minimum.
Wow.
With
Okay.
VDOT, but again, 20,000 VDOT bond is about $200 if you buy from these agencies. There are some company, they provide those bond.
Got it. Okay. So what other major things should be kept in mind when preparing your budget for a site, for site improvement?
So now, now on this list, I have a existing house demolition, $12,000. It could be 10, 15, 20. It depends how big it is, right?
Yeah.
I said trees removal is $2,500. That's not accurate. I don't know. Maybe you don't have a tree, you don't have to pay. Maybe you have 5 trees, big trees. Now, only for trees you have to do $25,000 or $10,000. So that depends. But just keep in mind, right? Dirt.
Mm-hmm.
So every time we talked about this one before, every time you dig out this dirt from the basement, you can, especially a smaller area like quarter acre lot, you really don't have a space to place this dirt, right?
Yeah.
So you have to, haul away this dirt, which is about $250, usually $250 per load or per truck you have to pay. So if you have a 50 truck or 100 truck, 50 truck or 100 trucks, if you do 100 trucks, that's like 12,500 easily. No. What the? Yeah, so 50 times 250, whatever it is.
A bunch. Hold on,
that's like, that's by 12,500.
12,500, yeah.
Yeah. So then you have to build a
Expensive
construction.
dirt.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's expensive dirt.
Yeah, it is. So those are the things you have to keep in mind. I say anything buried basement, 8, 9, 10,000 square foot home, you have easily 100 truck, which is $25,000. You have to have it. That's a lot of money,
Yeah, it
right?
is.
Then you have to build a construction entrance at the where you have doing construction. Your construction vehicle needs to come in and out from the construction site. You do with number one gravel, number 21. There's the requirements, right? You have to put a gravel so that the dirt or mud is not coming from your side to the road. You don't want to make the road dirty and muddy because county will fine you. But before county will fine you, your neighbor will complain. Definitely, my neighbor is like, yeah, I have a very good neighbor. They always
For
complain,
sure.
so I'm prepared already.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Then you have to do sill fence, which is you have to do
Mm.
sill fence erosion control. So the construction area, not the entire area, but construction area from the grading plan, it will tell you the area you need to protect. So when it's raining, all that dirt and mud should not go out from your property to the neighbor or to the street. So you have to contain that. That's called sill fence. So with the sill fence, you have a standard sill fence. You have a super sill fence. The cost is vastly different. That you have to see the grading plan. They will tell you where you have to put regular sill fence versus where you have to do super sill fence, which is more expensive. So all that cost is different. And then you have to say, okay, quickly, I'm going to go through this one. It's a stakeout survey means before you build a house, let's say you start digging. So you dug out the basement, right? Now you need to know the footing location, right? You cannot just start putting footing, but that's why you have to call a surveyor from the grading plan. They will do the stakeout.
Yes, with the little flag.
This is the area you have, correct. This is the area you have to dig out, and so that you dig out correctly. Otherwise, if you dig out more, means more dirt, means $250 per truck. So that's a lot of money. So you make sure that you dig out just enough you need it to for the basement. So that's one of the requirements. And after this is what happens after you do the break point. The concrete guy, they will do the footing. Okay.
Yep.
They put the concrete wall footing. Now you have to do the concrete wall, basement wall. The corner of those basement wall has to be exactly coordinated, pointed, right? Noted. So that one you have to again hire a civil engineer, call a surveyor, and say, hey, that's called a break point survey. So the break point survey is surveyor will come in to the side and note on your footing the corner of the walls based on the plan, so that you do all that form work for the walls correctly. That's called a break point. So now break point is done, then you form the wall, you pour the concrete wall. So concrete wall is done, slab is done, but sometimes we are human, right? We may make mistakes, especially in McLean area. We have a couple of inches only margin. So if you scrub like 2 inches, you're done. So because we are working with so tight space requirement, and if you screwed up like 6 minutes, you're done. So, but if you have a big area, you don't have to worry about it. Excuse me. But especially where you're working with very tight space, even after pour the concrete wall, make sure it's done correctly, and that's why you call it foundation wall check survey. So surveyor will come back and do one more time, make sure everything is good. Then you're protected. Because I had one house in McLean. It's not really, we did a foundation wall check survey, but you have to remember, surveyor, they are not God. They are also human beings. They make mistakes. But there was some mistakes done, and I had a bay window. I had to freaking take it out of the bay window because it was completely coming out of the line where they're not supposed to. So it happens, right? But again, you do everything you can from your side to avoid those, expensive repairs or fixes. And the final survey is called a plot plan. Like when the house, everything is really done, then you can do final survey. So you see plot plan where the house is, where the fence is, everything. That's just the final, just to be in safe side. But other ones are not so much. It's building height certification. It depends because in Fairfax County, your mean roof height is 35 feet. right? And
Mhm.
let's say in your drawing, it says 35, 34 and 6 inch. So that means you have only 6 inch margin. What if you build 6 inch high? No good. So county will
Yeah.
tell you if it is only 32 feet in your drawing, they say, okay, you have enough margin, so you don't have to do a building height certification. They allow it. But if it is close to like 34 plus, and they see that there might be opportunity where the building height may change if you don't build correctly, and they will make you do certifications after a house is done to make sure that
Mhm.
mean roof height is less than 35 before they give you occupancy permit. So that not so
Got
where do
it.
you find it? You have to look at the grading plan, and the grading plan will tell you when they give you a land disturbance permit on the piece of paper. Will tell you,
Yeah.
hey, you have to get it or you don't have to get it.
That makes
Okay.
sense. Okay,
So
so there's a lot of costs to keep in mind when prepping for the site.
yeah,
Like overall, but it's not, take it in chunks. And this spreadsheet I think was really helpful as a visual for anyone watching this, to be able to really see like, hey, these costs, they shouldn't be ignored. If anything, you should almost over plan for these as part of your project, especially if it's a development that you plan on selling, not just a home that you're building for a client. Because they can add up quickly. And if you need things re-inspected or inspected multiple times, or if there's delays on getting things inspected, it can all affect your bottom line. So I think this was really great that you had this to share as a visual.
as a visual, yeah, and also now house is ready. You have to connect all the existing water and sewer line. It could be
Yeah.
5,000 to 10,000, right? I'm just putting average number. Well, and septic would be definitely much more expensive. Gas, electric, reconnections, 25, fund 25. So it's almost, if you look at this one, I have about 32, and I'm not putting anything crazy here. I think these are very reasonable
Mhm.
numbers. And another is 45. Then you have to do a final driveway. You have to build a driveway, a final grading landscape, patch, all that could be initial. So this one is easily 95,000 to 100 grand already.
Yeah. And
Every
that's,
time
we
I
haven't
have a
even built a
homeowner build
house
a
yet.
house, I told him make sure that you have at least 100, 150 grand put aside for all this site work and engineering work, engineering,
Yep.
architectural permit, all costs. But again, this is only for local in our area, because if you try to look at this number in Texas, that's not going to work, because the probably numbers and costs are different. But mostly in DMV area, this number is okay. I always tell them, hey, make sure to go on the higher side, about $120,000 to $150,000 aside for if you build a big house. But again, if it's well
Mhm.
and septic, you definitely add another 50 grand, 75 grand more. But this is more pretty standard with the public water and sewer, if that makes sense.
Awesome. This is great.
Okay.
Thank you so much for going into such detail about this. And I hope that was really helpful for everyone else.
Sure.
I think we've tackled this topic for now. And if anyone has any questions, please do leave them in the comments. And Raj and I would be happy to get back to you with some answers on that. And that will conclude our construction estimate series, which has been really great. And I hope brought a lot of clarity for those out there looking to flip a property, build their own home, or to develop a property from scratch. Next week, we're actually going to be starting our next series called How to Read Blueprints. And that'll be a 7 to 8 week part series where we're going to go into detail on what you're looking at when you're looking at blueprints and how to make sense of it all and how to be knowledgeable as a developer, investor, or honestly, someone who's looking to redevelop or even flip properties that are already existing. So stay tuned next week for our next series, and we'll see you all then. Thanks so much,
Sounds
Raj.
good. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye.